Hello!
Ahoy!
Welcome to a very special episode of Bottom of the Stream. My name is Adam.
My name's Nick. It is a very special episode.
It is. It's a first for Bottom of the Stream.
We've gone on the road.
Been on set.
Yeah?
Literally, we've been on a movie set today, Nick.
Yeah.
How exciting is that?
Oh, it's awesome.
We're not allowed to say what movie it was, but it's still
No.
pretty awesome that we've been on a movie set.
The fog was still
Yeah.
drifting across.
It was. It was dark. It
The
was
set.
Droomy. Droomy?
That's not a word.
It's not a word. What am I thinking of?
Gloomy.
Dreary.
Gloomy or
and gloomy.
dreary.
And foggy. We've been on a movie set.
Yeah.
I'm on a high. It was great. Why have we been on a movie set?
We've been on a movie set because, I will go back a couple of weeks to start spinning the yarn. A couple of weeks ago, we, on our movie show, talked about a movie called Pentagram.
We did indeed.
Which we randomly selected, as we always do every week.
Yep.
From the bottom of the Netflix stream.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unbeknownst to us, well, kind of nounced, because we spotted a particular location in that movie that isn't too far from here.
Yeah.
And that kind of set us on a bit of a hunt.
Yeah.
We managed to get in touch with the director of Pentagram.
We did. We tagged him in a tweet. He tweeted us back.
An absolute gentleman by the name of Steve Lawson.
Yeah.
And he then said he'd be delighted to show us around his studio, Creative Studios.
Turns out it's only a 20-minute drive from here, from the Streamboat.
Talk to us about Pentagram. Well, chiefly about Pentagram.
Yeah.
But
he wanted to tell us the story of Pentagram. We wanted to hear the story of Pentagram, definitely.
Yeah.
And then we got into loads of other stuff. So this episode is going to be a sit-down interview on the road, on a movie set, with director of Pentagram, Steve Lawson.
Yeah.
How exciting.
So exciting. Had a great time. It was an absolute gent.
It was what a lovely man.
Yeah.
What an absolutely lovely and fascinating, really interesting guy.
All I can say is thank you, Steve,
Thanks
for your
for
time.
hosting.
And yeah.
Yeah,
I had a blast.
Yeah, me too. I had a great time.
This episode is that interview.
It is that interview. That is what we're going to cut to now. We're going to cut to another version of me and Nick.
Yeah.
Who will start again and we'll do the interview and it'll be great. And you can listen to it and learn some stuff about straight to video movies that we didn't know. We think you're going to find it really interesting because we found it really interesting.
Yeah.
Of his life and the fascinating movies that he makes.
Yeah, let us know what you think. As always, if you want more of this sort of stuff, just let us know because we're always looking to
yeah, absolutely
spread our wings a bit as well.
If you know anybody that we can sit down and interview or talk to or anything like that, really,
yeah,
let us know.
Brilliant.
So let's hand over to future Adam and Nick, or past Adam and Nick, I guess.
Yeah.
And they'll be talking to Steve Lawson. Hello.
Ahoy.
So we are here with Steve, who is the director of Pentagram.
Hello.
Nice to meet you, Steve.
And you guys.
So yeah, we thought we've just had a nice tour around your studio. So we thought we'd get you on and have a chat about Pentagram and what's going on there.
We're here at Creative Studios.
We are.
Which, as it turned out, is less than half an hour from us.
Small
world.
We got here early because it was closer than we thought it was. So, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm extremely busy as always.
Good.
You've seen my schedule. Well, you've seen my past schedule. it carries on the same, so yeah.
Excellent.
Well, first of all, really appreciate you taking the time out of that schedule to spend some time talking to us.
Definitely.
We, just to give it a bit of context, so on bottom of the stream, obviously, we randomly, if you've heard us before, we randomly select a movie every week from Netflix to see what we think of it, trying to find some hidden gems. And a few weeks ago, the randomizer pulled out Pentagram, which is one of your movies. Have we quite enjoyed Pentagram?
Yeah, we seem to enjoy it a lot more than you do.
Oh, definitely.
So we messaged you. We tagged you in a tweet. It was intentional to see if you'd respond, and you did. So we trapped you, and we thought, and you responded to us saying you need to hear this living nightmare story that was Pentagram. So
yes, I don't want to exaggerate too much. It was fine, but of all the films I've done, it was the toughest shoot and least satisfying experience.
Okay, cool. So how many films have you done?
I don't know.
Roughly?
Getting on for 20,
okay.
I think, now. Yeah. I always said I'd stop at 10 and then retire. And
like Tarantino.
Yeah, exactly. I thought, that sounds like plenty, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But no, yeah, getting on for 20 and, yep, still going.
Keep going.
So how did you sort of get your start in movies and how has that led to where we are today with Creative Studios?
I'll try and do it very briefly because obviously it's a pretty long story. But yeah, I mean, I'm the kind of person who's always loved movies, always wanted to make movies. And when I was a kid, for some reason, it was always the smaller films that attracted me more. Down at the video shop in those days of VHS,
Yeah.
I would go for the films you've never heard of, the weird-looking covers, the low-budget films. And so it was never my dream to go to Hollywood and be a superstar millionaire director. It was just my dream to have a small little studio in the same way that Charles Band had in the 80s or Roger Corman would have had it back in the 60s.
Sure.
Yeah.
And make low-budget films sort of on my own terms and hopefully get them out there into the world. And thankfully, technology improved during my lifetime. I was shooting stuff on VHS back when I was a kid. It was always horrible, nightmare, awful, useless stuff. Gradually, we got digital video. Now we're here where, you can shoot something that looks wonderful on a tiny camera, in your bedroom. And that's what's enabled us to make these movies that now go out and get seen all over the world.
Yeah. Picked up randomly by random podcasts.
How you mentioned a couple of your influences there, Corman and Band. Is there anyone else that sort of sticks out? Not to put you on the spot.
Well, no, it's fine. I mean, I say when I was a kid, Spielberg. I know I've just said I wasn't into the big movies, but in the 80s, if you're a kid, Spielberg was where it was at, wasn't
Sure.
it? So Indiana Jones movies were absolutely my thing when I was a little kid. When I was a teenager, I got massively into Hong Kong movies. I was just obsessed with Jackie Chan movies. John Woo was my favourite director.
Yeah.
So I got into a lot of that, trying to mimic that kind of stylish. If you watch a lot of John Woo movies, it's very visual, lots of dissolves and tracking shots and slow motion, all that sort of thing. And just gradually, once you become a commercial filmmaker that I am, you kind of just have to do what you're told and go where the market leads you. So as much as I would like to go out and make something like Indiana Jones or a Kung Fu movie or whatever, I end up making Essex Boys gangster films or whatever, whatever the market wants. So now just influenced by absolutely anything, mostly by whoever finances the film, actually.
Right, okay.
Brilliant. Should we dive into Pentagram?
I think we need to, don't we? I mean, we quite enjoyed it. It's still currently second in our current stream table, so we didn't think it was that bad. But you
do I get paid for that?
No.
Oh dear.
We do an award ceremony at the end of every year, so if there's a chance you might get nominated for an award,
great.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So if you do, we'll get you one.
Wonderful.
For sure. Pentagram. Let's talk about Pentagram. How did it come about?
It came about during a period where I didn't have that much going on. I'd done a few films that were self-financed just to get my sort of studio name going.
Yeah.
We'd done a couple of films that were financed by a small label nearby called 88 Films, who you may have heard of. They put out a lot of cult re-releases. But at the time, they weren't sure if those were going to sell, and it wasn't really their main thing. So they kind of didn't want to do any more films at that time. But one that we did do, called Essex Heist, which, as I mentioned, was the Essex Boys gangster type thing.
Yeah.
It did quite well in the end, and it got seen by a producer in London. And he was, I spoke to him at a couple of events, I think, where we met, and he was impressed by what I'd achieved on a tiny budget. And he thought that appealed to him. And he was looking to do some horror films on a low budget.
Right.
And so we got into a production deal where he had these concepts that he wanted to shoot. And he sent them to me, and I would work those up into workable scripts.
Okay.
And then he would finance the movie, and he would get the cast, because that was always his thing, was that he was based in London, and he knew agents and actors, and he said, you're in Leicester, you don't know anybody, your actors are rubbish.
Yeah.
I can get you proper talent. And so that was the deal. And we did a film called The Exorcism of Karen Walker, which at that point was the biggest budget film I'd done, and it had some good talent in it, and it was a decent looking little film.
Yep.
Now on Netflix.
It's also on Netflix. Yeah, it's also on our long list, so it might come out of the randomizer at some point.
And it was a good experience. As I say, it went well. I was pleased to make the film. I was pleased to be doing something, because getting films financed as an independent is always difficult. So that having been done, we embarked on a second film. And he had this concept about people trapped in a pentagram, and he had a script that was not workable at all. And he said to me, rewrite this script, so it's doable on this low budget, and we'll do it.
Yeah.
So I said, great. And the script he had was set in America. So this was one of your questions, guys.
It was, yeah. This was going to be one of my questions.
Everybody asks this. Why do they try and make these films look like they're set in America? When, it comes up all the time. It's just a thing we do for sales.
Yeah.
Because people around the world want American movies. They don't want British movies, really. So if you can make it look American, you've got a better chance of selling it. And America is the biggest market.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense, I suppose.
That's literally what it is.
Is that an argument you would have you ever considered sort of fighting that argument at any point? Or is it, because if you've got the opportunity to do a good British film with British actors playing British people, or is it just that's kind of a deal breaker at this sort of level? I guess, is it?
Well,
in
at the
terms
time,
of what you're trying to achieve and sales and.
Yeah, at the time, I was not in a position to argue anything because
Sure.
It was his film, it was his project.
Yeah.
I think as a film, it would have turned out better if people were not doing American. I mean, there was some pretty good American accents in there.
There are.
Yeah, and I'd just like to say, to be fair, we thought the performances in Pentagram compared to some of the stuff we've seen were pretty good, I've got to say.
Now, as I say, like with the previous film, the producer, he was in London, he has contact with the agents, he sent us some pretty interesting talent and some good people.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think overall it would have been better if it's just been set in the UK. But I've done. Say I did The Haunting of Alcatraz afterwards, which was obviously a US set thing, but we shot it here.
Sure.
I prefer not to. It limits your choice of actors because you've got to try and find people who can do the accent.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like that is more important than anything else.
Yeah.
And so it does limit your choices.
I think the difference is there, isn't it? If you're doing The Haunting of Alcatraz, it's got to be in the States.
Yeah.
Whereas Pentagram could have been anywhere.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
As I say, it was one of those. It was a producer thing. It was his project, and that's the one thing I want to point out is when you see a film and it says written and directed by so and so, it's very easy to assume that person was the driving force and it's all their idea and that it's exactly how they wanted it. And I was hired as a writer director, and it was entirely the producer's project.
Sure.
Okay, interesting.
So how much did you have to amend that script?
Oh, it's page one rewrite. We kept in some of the sort of demonic chants and stuff was word for word left in because I didn't know what all that meant, and it seemed like maybe the writer had perhaps researched it.
Sure.
It read pretty good to me.
Yeah.
So I left all that in. And basically the story was the same. It was a bunch of young people, in inverted commas. They are not teens. I never said they were teens. Maybe the back of the box says they're teens, but that's not me.
I've got it here. What does it say?
Does it say teens?
A group of teenagers, yes.
I never said they were teens. Young people. Where were we? Yes, it was some teens going across America to a music festival, and their car crashed, and they went into a house and got trapped in a pentagram. And they all kind of stabbed each other, and then at the end, I think some police SWAT team came in.
Oh, cool. Yeah, okay.
A bunch of stuff we could never have afforded to shoot, so it was literally a page one rewrite. And what I tried to do is, because I knew we couldn't have big action, we couldn't have big spectacle, I tried to make the characters more interesting, give them more backstory, add more character conflict, because like the thing with the girl being interested. You know what I mean? There was the rivalries between the guys over the girl.
Love triangle,
and the backstory of the abuse and the drug addict and the robbing the place. All that, we added all that in because they went from being just teens going to a music thing to being these kind of, I think, more interesting characters. And that hopefully adds a lot more to the story rather than just here's some people and they're in a pentagram.
Sure.
Absolutely. So when was it filmed?
I think it's 2017.
Okay, a few years ago. How long what sort of time scale are we working on to make a film like that from start to finish?
Well, obviously all the pre-production I can't remember, but the shoot was, I'm pretty sure the shoot was 7 days.
Oh wow, okay, so just a week.
Yeah, that sticks in my mind as being 7 days.
So, and it's all filmed here where we are now,
Yeah, obviously the Pentagram room was a set that we built here. The rest of the house was a real house, a real historic house near Peterborough that we film in quite a bit. It's a beautiful place.
Okay.
And obviously there was the American diner.
The American diner that Nick recognised.
That was not far from here as well. Great. That's a good place to shoot. And I think we shot some little bits out on the road here and there in the countryside.
Majority of it's done.
Yeah.
In this very building.
Was it left to you to find those locations?
Yes.
So that was sort of handed over to you and.
Yes, entirely. I mean, say the entire physical production, apart from casting, the entire physical production was me. Sets, costumes, locations, crew. Yeah, it was all done up here by me.
Okay.
Brilliant.
And how was the shoot on it?
It was very tiring. The backstory being, and I'll make it as brief as I can, the budget for the film, for reasons I do not understand, never materialised.
Okay.
This is, as I say, we'd already done a film with this producer who provided the budget, and it all went fairly swimmingly. On this occasion, I don't know the details, but the budget was not forthcoming into our company account prior to the shoot in order to pay for the crew, for everything.
Yeah.
We'd literally built sets, bought costumes, props, booked locations, all paid for by my company, with a view that this was going to be paid back by the producer's company. Never happened. And what did happen was basically a cast and a DOP turned up at the studio on Monday morning, and I had to decide whether to shoot or not.
Send them away or
Yeah,
carry on.
And a wiser man would have sent them, not sent them away, but would have sat everyone down and said, "Sorry, guys,
We can't start.
we can't start because I have not been paid. I can't pay the crew. I can't pay this, that, and the other. We're not going to shoot. Sorry."
Yeah.
But to be fair to you, from what you told us, you like you say, you'd done a film already with that company, and it had gone fairly well.
Yeah. So, and I'm the kind of person would always rather make the best of a situation.
Sure. I can totally understand that.
And so so we just started shooting, thinking, well, it'll sort itself out or whatever. Say it's hard to when you've got because it's quite a large cast on this one compared to what I normally do, especially to have them all at once.
Yeah.
It wasn't like shoot with this person that day; it was the whole crowd on the first day. Yeah, we just got on with it and we started shooting. And being a 7-day shoot, you can imagine trying to shoot a feature in 7 days. Even with most of it being set in one set, it's still really tight.
Of course it is, yeah.
Made especially tight when one of the actors who shall remain nameless didn't know their lines at all. There was a day we went out to on location, and the location days are the hardest because you've got to waste time getting everyone out there, setting everything up. So you've got to shoot really quick.
Yeah.
We did 30 takes of a line. I remember this because this really sticks out in my head, of a particular line from an actor who just could not get the words out.
Blimey. So that must take so much time out of that really tight time scale already.
Exactly.
You can't afford to be doing 30 takes.
No, and it was like...
Who do you think you are, Kubrick?
Well, it wasn't because I wanted 30
No.
And yes, we ended up in a situation with somebody holding up a phone with a script on it.
Okay.
During shooting, so said actor could read their lines.
Oh wow!
On off a phone whilst on camera.
And was that a theme throughout the shoot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was at their own request as well.
Wow.
I'm not going to say who.
No, that's fine.
That's fine.
But it's just an example of you've got to shoot a feature in 7 days, and you haven't been paid, so you're not in the best of spirits. Let's be honest. And then you've got this to deal with as well.
How long's a day for those 7 days as well?
Oh, we shoot. I mean,
You've got to come here, like you say, get everything packed, move out to location.
Yeah, generally speaking, I can't remember specifics. It was a few years ago, but generally speaking, we come in at 9, we're on set at 10.
Yeah.
We try and finish at 5-ish. We're out the door by 6.
Yeah.
Unless it's been a long, tricky day, and it may go over. But that's what we try and do. We try to do a normal working day. On that one, honestly, I don't really remember if we were here. We were never here crazy midnight shooting like that. We don't do that. But I just remember it being a slog and thinking, let's just film this and go home. Yeah. Which is not. It's never been like that for me. I make these films because I love making films, and regardless of the low budgets and the hard work, we always have fun on set. But that one just wasn't fun because everything was a slog.
Sounds like it started off on the wrong foot and it never could recover for various reasons.
I think we had cast members who felt the project was beneath them.
Right.
Which, in fairness, it probably was. Because it was just junk, really, that we were making. And again, we had some top level talent in the room.
Yeah.
But it just made for a bad atmosphere. Yeah. Generally speaking, an unprofessional atmosphere.
How did you feel having to sort of try and corral all that into a?
Yeah, as I say, it's the only film we've done where it just wasn't a pleasure, and we just wanted to just shoot it and forget it and go home.
Yeah.
It was like working. What you can imagine working on a soap opera must be like. It's just day in, day out. The trudge of it wasn't the let's make a movie, guys. The magic of the fun of it was just stand there, action cut. Yeah, okay, action cut. Fine. It was going through it like that.
Okay.
And then when they don't know their lines, then it gets even worse and even worse. And by the end of the day, you just hate everybody.
I don't hate anybody. No. And let's say, to be fair, there's people on there that I've worked with again and would work with again. It was just a bad, but ill-conceived project. Wrong people, wrong timing, no money.
So did the budget ever materialise?
No.
So you never had any money for it?
No. In fact, I obviously, because the crew were all my people, or largely except for the DOP, the crew were my people. So I paid them at my own company's money.
Yeah.
I paid for the set, the costumes, the props, the locations. So everything apart from cast, which I believe they did get paid by the producer.
Right.
So I was considerable amount of money down on the whole thing, but I did have the film in my possession.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So what happened after the shoot's done? Cameras have stopped rolling. You've got a film.
And
Well, I've got footage.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I carried on working. I didn't have a lot going on. This was why I was doing these films. So I carried on editing it, but with the thought in the back of my head, I'm not going to give anybody this film ever till I get paid. So put it together roughly. Did a rough cut, made a trailer. Eventually, contact with the producer became zero.
Right.
I say I don't know what happened. I don't want to speculate, but the money had gone somewhere.
Okay.
Apparently,
That's fine.
Okay.
but eventually we found out who had financed the film, which was and I got in touch. I think they got in touch with me actually, or somebody put them in touch with me, and we worked up a deal and a contract to exclude the producer, and we finished the film, and we passed it to the distributor, and it went out on sale. It's now on DVD. It's on Netflix. It's on Amazon. Still not one penny has been paid back to me.
Really? That's insane, isn't it?
Was that company quite surprised when they found out you had some footage? Did they know that anything had ever happened?
Yes, well, I think they'd been given an
A
impression.
tip-off? Or...
No. I think the producer had. I don't like to use the word stringing along, but I think the producer had been stringing them along.
Okay.
And promising all sorts of goodness.
Right. Okay.
And what we had perhaps didn't live up to the impression that had been given. Possibly, allegedly, but at least the film did exist, and it was finishable.
Yeah.
Had to be finished again with spending no money, because again no money was forthcoming for me to finish the film. Hence why you don't get any good special effects, because that sort of stuff that you would normally do in post. Last thing, there was no money left at all, so we get a rubbish looking demon.
So how did you do those couple of shots with the demon?
It was a stock footage thing.
I thought that's what
pre-existing
we saw,
thing. That's why you don't see it interact.
Yeah, that's
again,
what
it was meant to be a proper a full body makeup creature thing. Would look really cool. Because we'd shot on set the scythe going through and chopping people's guts out, which looked quite good. So we're stuck with that. So I found a stock footage demon, and I green screened just a scythe onto it because it didn't have a scythe. And yeah, that was it. Same shot twice. Doesn't look very good at all. It's very, very weak. But it was done at minimal expense to finish the film.
So if you've got to finish the film with no money, then
I don't disagree with you, but I cannot reiterate enough. Compared to some of the stuff we have seen on this show, this was not the worst thing we have ever seen.
No,
not
by
a long shot. Not by a long shot.
My feeling of the finished film is I find it's pretty alright and watchable up until they go into the Pentagram. No, and I mean that seriously, because the first part of it's got the location stuff. Yeah, the stuff in the dino looks alright, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
And the stuff out on the road looks quite good, because we had to find a road with no road markings.
Yeah.
Because in America they have a yellow, and obviously UK ones have the dotty white lines, so we had to find. So there was some thought went into it. It was passably could have been America. We spent money on an American car, all that stuff. And then the stuff in the house when they first go in looks good.
That's a good location.
Yeah, great location, looked really good. Interesting story. The teacups were really there.
Okay.
Did wonder about that.
But by amazing coincidence, they were also in the script beforehand.
No way.
Yeah.
Ah.
And I had planned to take a bunch of because we knew the character was going to be British, the guy in the Pentagram.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, let's sort of try to foreshadow that a bit and have some, as a little thing. And I thought we'll take some teacups, put them in the cupboard. And amazingly, we went in that kitchen, we opened the cupboard, and it was full of teapots. And we're like, great.
Just leave them in the car now. That's great.
Yeah, interesting story.
That is great.
But yeah, up until they go upstairs, obviously they go onto that set, and the bit where they all run in was really fumbled. That bit doesn't work at all.
Kind of just falling all over each other.
Yeah, and again, because the rest of it's just all on that set, and obviously the set isn't the best. It just kind of goes downhill. You get the cheap-looking demon. You just get all the rest of it. There's some bits and bobs in there where it's quite dramatic that do work, but yeah, to me the set looks poor. And obviously, the whole outlook of the film just becomes just that set for so long that it loses me.
How one of the questions that I had while watching it, how long? I don't know whether we got this detail in sort of in the scripts or in the backstory. How long was the English guy? How long had he been in there for? What was in your mind? What was the story there? Had he been there for years or?
I
a
don't
few
know,
hours?
because
Or...
you could make the argument that maybe inside the pentagram is some magical state where
sure.
time doesn't apply. So maybe he was there for years. I don't think so. I think he was just there for maybe a few days, and he's gone a bit crazy from.
Okay.
Being, I don't think he's. Yeah, a couple of days probably enough to make him go crazy and thirsty and mad.
Yeah.
But you could say maybe it's some magical place and he's been there for years. Yeah. But no, the opening shot wasn't meant to be set like in the 1940s or something.
Okay.
But it does look a bit like that.
It does. It does look like he's been there for 50 years.
I think it was more his companion for me.
Yeah.
She was in that sort of
very nice dress.
Yeah,
she looked gorgeous.
She
looked gorgeous.
Yeah,
she did.
Yeah. She's the cousin of someone famous, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
Arterton is her surname.
Right. Okay.
Oh, Gemma Arterton? Is that her cousin, maybe?
Yeah, a cousin or niece or sister or relative, anyway.
Excellent.
Yeah, she did look lovely in that dress.
I do. I've got a lot of time for the ending. I really like the end when she kind of just walks out the door and leaves the two bad guys, shall we say, in the pentagram.
That's my thing.
It felt like the end of Saw.
I always try to do a twist ending. If you watch The Exorcism of Karen Walker, that's got a banger of a twist. Or I thought it was a good one. Of course, the reviews are all like, "Oh, we saw that coming a mile away." But I always
critics will always say that.
I always tried to do a twist ending. So quite proud of that.
Yeah, we did like the end. How
it was almost like she just slammed the door on them and
she's
just
giving them no clue.
help.
Whereas our group of guys through this movie have had the rules explained to them.
Yeah.
Those two villagers got what they deserved, didn't they?
That's why we had to have that weird bit where he suddenly turns into a weird old pervert.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you had to set them up as
build
being
that sympathy,
nasty, so they would get trapped in.
Yeah, that did come out of nowhere a little bit.
It
but
did. We should probably
work.
set that up a little bit earlier on, I think. Yeah, it does come out, but obviously you can understand that we had to make them evil, so then they get trapped in the pentagram.
Yeah, it did go a bit Deliverance for a couple of minutes, but
that gentleman, the actor from that who played the old guy, he's got a long history. Again, the thing with the benefit with the producer, he would send very interesting people up from London. That chap was in Life Force. You ever seen Life Force, the Toby Hooper film?
We have.
Space
We've
Empires?
done it on the show.
We did it on the show, yeah.
He was one of the astronauts in the first scene of
okay.
that.
Wow, okay.
He's one of these old actors that's been around for years, been all sorts of stuff in the 70s
like,
and 80s.
Patrick Stewart's feature film debut, I think that was.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done an episode on it. Check it out.
One of my favourite films.
Yeah, check it out.
Space Vampires.
Probably a year ago now, probably.
Oh, yeah, maybe a bit.
You lose track of time doing this show, don't we?
But that gentleman came up for half a day, and if you look closely, there's a scene earlier on where he and the girl find the car abandoned.
Yeah.
And, you don't see his face in that scene. You see his back, and then it cuts to a close-up of his face. It's because that gentleman wasn't on the location. It was me in a leather jacket,
Oh, really?
stepping in to get my shoulder kind of just into the shot. And then when we shot the reverse on his face, it was literally just outside the doors of the studio against the solitary tree that we've got in the car park.
Wow, that's crazy.
Because what we did, we shot the diner robbery.
Yeah.
And the car, the whole scene where they're stood by the car.
Yeah.
Plus the girl and him finding the car. And then back all on location in like half. And then we got back to the studio and shot him and the girl coming into the pentagram. And the little bit where he answers the phone.
Yeah, this bit with him on the phone, yeah.
All that was in a day.
Wow.
It was, oh man, crazy.
Sounds like a stressful day.
That's a lot, yeah. That's a lot. Excellent. So, to your knowledge, how does that end up on Netflix?
That's the question we ask most
It's a bit,
on the show.
We get asked that a lot.
We get
don't
asked it a lot. We ask it a lot.
By our
how on earth does a film like this end up on Netflix?
Well, personally, I'm not party to any details, but
No,
it's obvious.
what we
the film ended up with a particular distributor who has done many, many low-budget horrors and thrillers over the past few years. Probably dozens and dozens if you were to count them all up.
Yeah.
And they've obviously done a deal with Netflix UK to just bung all of them out. I think it started around Halloween last year.
Yeah, it did.
So I guess they probably Netflix probably wanted horror films.
Yeah.
The distributor probably said, well, we've got 50 of them sat here doing nothing.
Sure.
Because normally, initially, it was just DVD was what they were made for. And now DVD is drying up. I guess they're probably sitting on these films thinking, how can we do something with these films? And I don't know how it worked, but obviously they've bunged them all out on Netflix UK. Probably a cheap bargain deal, I should imagine.
Because some of yours have also showed up on Amazon as well, haven't they?
Oh, all mine are on Amazon.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone can put any rubbish on Amazon. They'll take anything. But obviously Netflix, it's got a bit of a cachet to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Netflix, because it's a household name kind of streamer. And so, I did obviously take advantage of the fact and started slapping Netflix on my website and on my publicity materials.
Got,
cause,
Sure.
Netflix approved director, apparently.
Did you not even get a courtesy email to say?
No, I got nothing.
Steve,
I heard from one of the
up.
I heard from one of the actors that they'd seen it, that it was being advertised as coming soon on Netflix, and
Okay.
yeah, it's on there. I've seen it on there. But no, nothing from the distributor, and obviously not one penny in revenue. But to be fair, I imagine it was probably a pretty cheap deal.
Sure.
I don't imagine they've suddenly got £1 million for all these films. I doubt it.
No.
So what came next? What was after Pentagram? Where did we go from there?
Well, obviously, Pentagram signalled the end of that particular co-production arrangement.
I can't believe it.
Surely not.
with the producer who went AWOL and has since resurfaced with a brand new company.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
I think there was probably a fallow period.
Yeah.
Where we just finished that film off and negotiated to get rid of it and all that sort of thing. I was then able to get in touch with another distributor, High Flyers Films. I'll name them because they're lovely people. And since then, we've had a non-stop production deal for the last 3 years or longer.
Okay.
No, 3 years, I think.
So you always get the money for those ones.
Yes, they are lovely people. They're very, very kind, very cooperative. No problem at all with the arrangements and the deals, and they seem to like me for some reason. So yeah, we've been churning out.
You've been a very busy man. It looks like with these guys.
Yeah, we did 4 films last year.
How was that? 4 films in a year? That seems
too many. 3 is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to do 3 a year.
Okay.
Going forward.
How obviously we've all gone through this pandemic in the last few years. How did that affect things? Did that change the films that were going to be made, or?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. It was actually quite good for us.
Okay.
Because all the big Hollywood films stopped being produced, and so there was a drought of content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For all the streaming services, so the distributor was on to me saying, if anything you can make now, we'll sell it everywhere because everyone's desperate for content. So, it was bad because we were halfway through a movie, which we did have to shut down.
Right.
Because this was, when COVID first started, everyone was kind of scared and
work out what we need to do,
what the rules are, and all that stuff. So we did, and all hotels were all shut down.
Yeah.
So we had people in hotels, and we were halfway through a movie. So it was bad. We had to send everybody home, but after a few months, guidelines came out, and the rules were set that yes, you can work, and as long as you wear masks and do this, that, and the other. And so we did we did a documentary that was like a desktop production just during that period where you couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Which was a UFO documentary, which apparently went down very well. Then when we got back into production, we did we were doing Bram Stoker's Van Helsing. That was the one that got interrupted.
Right.
And we did lose our location for that because they were a council-owned place, and they just were like, no we're not doing anything ever again. So we managed to get a privately owned stately home to shoot in for that. But yeah, I'd say about 6 months we couldn't do anything. But then later that year, not even 6 months, for about 3 or 4 months, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
At the height of COVID. And then once we had sort of the rules in place and we got back into it, we shot Killer Crocodile film. That was fun. More stories about that. That was very over-ambitious.
Right.
But
as in a script landed with you that was
it's
too
my
big?
idea.
It's
all
yours.
these,
okay,
everything
fine.
we do now is my idea. I write all the scripts.
Brilliant.
And to anybody out there who's thinking of sending me their screenplay, please don't.
Do you
I get them all the time, and they're probably really good. They're probably way better than I can write. It's not a question of quality. It's a question that I know what we can do on a budget.
Sure.
Yeah.
And most writers, especially when they're up and coming, the kind of writers who are going to send me a script, they're not going to be Hollywood people. They're up and coming young writers. They've never been on a set. They don't know what a schedule looks like.
How far your money goes.
And they write stuff you just cannot do. Again, it was like that first script for Pentagram.
Yeah.
Probably, I bet the guy who wrote that thought, "Oh, I'm writing a low-budget film here."
But he wasn't. It was.
But it was a car driving across the American desert that crashes into a truck.
Yeah.
And it was stuff you could never do on these kind of budgets. It was $1 million film at least. So yeah.
So then you decide to write a film about a crocodile.
Well, it was a great idea. Have you ever heard the story of Ramree Island?
No.
It was a massive. I don't know how true it is. World War II. All these Japanese soldiers got massacred by crocodiles.
Okay.
And it's a movie waiting to happen. It really is. So I thought, well, I'll make it happen.
Brilliant.
Shot it just down the road from you guys, literally in Hinckley, in a sort of some parkland and with some plastic palm trees and stuff. It's supposed to be set like Cambodian jungle. And to be fair, I think it's kind of all right. It loses steam towards the end because you're just waiting for that big action-packed finale, and we don't quite deliver. But it's a film I'm quite proud of. I think it looks I think it looks okay. Yeah, we did that. Then we started doing these Victorian movies. We got into a routine doing Victorian era stuff.
Okay.
Ripper Untold. Please go and watch that. That's my best film.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Jekyll and Hyde. We did Musketeers. We did Highwayman. We've just done the Mummy Resurrection, which is another period one. Really, really nice. And we're doing more to come.
Excellent.
And these last few, I believe the distributor is in talks with Netflix to try and get them on there, because these are much higher quality, bigger budget films than the Pentagram.
So they're actually shopping them to Netflix rather than...
So there's no reason, if Pentagram can be on there, these new films should
definitely.
Yeah, they're way better. So hopefully they may turn up on your TV screen soon. If not, they're on DVD, they're on Amazon, they're on all the other services.
That's great. One of my questions for you was going to be, Steve, what is the movie you're most proud of? Well, it doesn't have to be the movie. What's the scene? What's the movie? What springs to mind from that question?
Yeah, Ripper Untold is the one that holds up the best. It's a little bit dull visually because it's a lot of people sat in rooms. Because again, people think it's going to be a wild massacre in the streets because it's kind of sold as that.
Yeah.
It was like more of a police procedural with the autopsy scenes and the detective trying to puzzle it all out. And so there's some good gore in it, and it's quite atmospheric. And it's again twist ending, banger of a twist ending.
I do like a good twist.
So I'm proud of it. But visually, the one we did after that, we did Jekyll and Hyde after that, which I think had more production value.
Okay.
We had horse and carriage, we had a stately home, we had more stuff. Looks cool. But the story was less compelling, I think, on that one. Musketeers is a very nice looking film for the budget, but it's a bit dull. You can't really do swashbuckling on a low budget. You've got to have the action.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Same with Highwayman, nice looking film, funny script, very proud of the script. I think that was my best script at the time.
Okay.
There's lots of double entendres in there. It was done as a bawdy comedy. It's been sold as some sort of grim-looking, I don't know, horror thing.
Is that frustrating? Because that's obviously out of your hands.
Yeah.
It's
as I say, I will make any film the distributor wants. I'm not. I like making films that are distributor-led, that are market-led. It appeals to me to do that because I want my films to sell.
Of course you do.
So if a distributor says to me, we want a dark, grim Dick Turpin movie, I'll make it.
Yeah.
But if they just say Dick Turpin, to me, I think Carry On Dick with Sid James
Absolutely.
and Barbara Windsor, and that's what I wanted to make. So we made this goofy comedy. But then they sold it as this grim-looking highway robbery thing, so I don't think it's sold mega well.
I guess that affects the reviews and things as well, because people go in expecting one thing and get something completely different.
One thing I've learned about reviews, especially because you read not so much professional reviews or even cinephile reviews, which I'll put you guys in that category because you know what you're talking about, but the reviews you get on Amazon and IMDb, the Joe Blogs in the street reviews, they always base their reviews on what they expected the film to be.
Yes,
exactly.
Absolutely.
And it could be a good film, but if it's not what they thought they were getting, they're going to give it 1 star, worst film ever.
We see that a lot because we go into a film expecting something completely different, and we always read out the IMDb rating at the beginning, and it's never lines up with what we've seen, and it's crazy.
I always try and go. Well, I know you do as well. Going with the whole point of using this sort of random generator is just I want to watch something every week that I have
no
preconceptions about. Because that's the best way.
Most of the time, I don't even watch a trailer. It's literally just go straight in.
Absolutely.
And see what we get.
Yeah, so I am learning now to try and give people what they expected. So with Jekyll and Hyde, for example, the one that I don't think has been very well received, the IMDb score on that is very low. Really way too low that it should be. It's like 2.6 or something. And it's a very nicely made film. It looks great. But I put my own... Actually, I'll tell you something about that film just briefly.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
This is probably going to be far too long for you, but... a lot of the comments on Jekyll and Hyde were, "Oh, this has changed from the novel. They've made the main character as this Gabriel Utterson instead of Dr. Jekyll." Now, if you've read the novel of Jekyll and Hyde, the main character is Gabriel Utterson.
Yeah.
It's not. It's about him investigating, and it's these old stories are all about people sat in rooms reading letters and diaries and stuff. Yeah. But people think Jekyll and Hyde is all about Dr. Jekyll in his lab guzzling liquid and hiding behind the table.
Because that's what most of the adaptations since have.
Or they think he's going to turn into a monster and start throwing people through windows and stuff, because that's what they see in the Hollywood movies. So my version was actually quite accurate to the novel, but people were not expecting that. Yeah. They thought it was going to be Dr. Jekyll turning into a monster. So, so what was I going to say? Yes. So I'm learning now, don't try and be clever. Yeah. Don't try and do proper literary adaptations. Just give people what they expect to see. So we've done this mummy film now, and it's got a proper zombie mummy shuffling about, killing people, ripping their guts out. People are going to like it.
It's exactly what people want from a mummy movie.
Yeah.
Excellent.
One question which we randomly throw out. If if you had to watch a single film every day for the next year, what film would you watch?
Not one of mine, is it?
No, any
be
film
any.
at all from the history of film.
I cannot imagine having that much spare time.
No, me neither.
That's exactly what we said.
Probably a really short one.
Also, you get the risk of ending up hating a film you might have loved.
Well, if I was doing that, I think I'd pick a film I've never seen, to be honest, because otherwise
Well, you
make
could
it-
at least
you
get
make
one
it
good
worse
day
for
out
yourself.
of it.
Yeah, at least I could enjoy it once.
Or you could pick a film that you already hate. So
Do something else in the
punish
background.
yourself with just do the
Well, that
ironing.
doesn't count. You've got to watch it, haven't you?
Yeah,
Surely
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the deal,
Yeah.
isn't it? You've got
Yeah.
to watch it.
So you're not picking Pentagram.
No, it's quite short though. At least
Yeah, it is
I'd
short.
spare some time in my day, especially if I skip the credits.
I think I went for Back to the Future. What did you go for?
I don't even remember. I think maybe The Shining.
I think that's a tough one to do for 365 days.
I mean, if we can change it around to just a "what is your favourite film" question, then
That's fine.
makes
Go
it
for
for
it.
easier.
that.
What is your favourite?
My favourite film is Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Oh, brilliant.
and I probably have seen that enough times to count for
fill a year.
I think I probably have seen it in the hundreds, just not all in one year. But over the space since I was 10 or whatever I was when it came out, yeah, I've seen that a lot of times.
It's the only movie poster I've got up in my house. It's the only
Yeah,
one I'm
it is,
allowed to
isn't
have
it?
up from my wife.
I'm not allowed to have any of in my house, but luckily I have a massive studio.
Exactly, yeah.
Just have
With
them
all my
together.
posters, actually, I hadn't even put them up yet. I'm so lazy. If you look at my kitchen, they're all just sat on the side there, waiting to
I
be
did
put on the
spot
wall.
them, yeah.
All of those will be on the wall when I get around to it.
It's because you could find some time.
I know, I'm so busy.
So are you shooting at the minute?
Yes, we're just on a break. We started shooting, we're having a little break to rework a project, and then we're going to start back up in August.
Okay.
And then after that, we're doing another documentary. So 2 more things this year, and we've shot 1 this year. I lose track. I think we've only done 1 this year, but we might have done 2. I'll tell you what it is. It's because we shot The Highwayman end of last year, and then I was editing it in the sort of spring.
Right.
Got ya.
So and then we shot shot the Mummy one in the spring, summer, and now we're doing sort of in the summer, autumn.
Got ya.
So you've got a full
Period.
slate coming up over the next... You're not
Yes,
slowing
we've-
down at any point.
I would like to, but we're discussing. I think we've got 1 lined up already for next year.
Right.
Another it's a similar vein to the stuff we've been doing because I think we're getting a good niche
Victorian.
of these
Horror.
horrors.
Sounds like hitting a good groove with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got. If you look around this room that we're in, if I can describe it, you'll see there are numerous Victorian
There are
gowns
costumes everywhere.
hanging up.
I'm literally
boots.
leaning on a wedding dress.
Well, yeah, they're not part of it, but
There's stuff everywhere.
yeah. So we're well set up for period costume
Yeah,
stuff,
definitely.
and it's nice to do them as well because when people are dressed up like this, every shot just starts to look really beautiful.
Yeah.
Always looks good on screen, doesn't
Yeah.
it? The Victorian stuff. It's
And you can
We
get
make it dark and smoky.
a few oil lamps, pump a bit
Yeah.
of smoke in. It looks great.
We did just as we walked in a couple of hours ago when we arrived was just the remnants of some
Smoke
smoke
everywhere.
drifting across the set. I would say very atmospheric.
I hope I've remembered to turn that off now.
We'll go out there in a minute. We won't be able to see anything. Have
Brilliant.
you got anything you want to plug? Anything you want to talk about before we go?
Well, I need to say, as I said earlier, probably if people would like to see a film that's half decent, Ripper Untold is probably my best.
And that's on Amazon, is it?
It's on Amazon, it's on DVD. I think it's on some of those other, it's like iTunes. Do people still watch films on iTunes?
There's Apple TV's out
I
there
think
now,
it
isn't
exists.
It probably
Maybe it's
does
called that now, but we always have to do these QC processes for iTunes. And I keep thinking, no one watches films on iTunes. That's like 20 years ago, surely iTunes
Yeah,
was a
absolutely.
thing.
Yeah.
But I don't.
It's the hardest place to get a podcast on as well. You wouldn't believe it, but it's so difficult to get the.
Well,
to get on there
exactly.
to
Yeah,
start
no, it's
with.
very hard to get your low budget film on because
Yeah.
they have such stringent technical requirements that we have to go through. So yeah, I forgot what I was saying now. Yeah, Ripper Untold, it's available. In terms of upcoming stuff, the next film is called The Mummy Resurrection. Not to be confused with Resurrection of the Mummy, or The Mummy Reborn, or The Mummy Returns, or The Mummy something else. Because honestly, trying to find a title for a mummy film, everything's been used.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Everything. The Mummy Rebirth, The Mummy Reborn, The Mummy... Honestly, everything you could think of. And we originally had it as The Mummy, The Resurrection of the Mummy. Because IMDb didn't have that. But then I went on Amazon. There's a DVD on there, Resurrection of the Mummy.
No
So
way.
now it's The Mummy Resurrection.
Well, because we always find as well when you get some films get greedy for the international audience,
Yeah,
isn't they're taking up more than one title as well?
You can
so-
have 2 or 3 titles for a film, and it's crazy.
But that's the one. I don't know when it's coming out, but I think it'll be out by the end of the year. And it's a really good one. One I'm
Right.
really pleased with. Beautifully shot by my DOP, John O'Neill, I want to mention. And great cast.
give him a shout out.
Brilliant. Well, Steve Lawson, thank you very much. We really appreciate putting some time aside to
Thanks
have
for
a
hosting
chat.
us, showing us around. It's been great.
Thank you. Thanks for finding Pentagram. Not my finest hour, but it's still nice that it's out there.
Yeah, well, like I say, we seem to enjoy it a lot more than you do. So
No, brilliant. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
cool. Thank you. And that was the interview.
What did you think?
I had a fantastic time. I really enjoyed myself. What a bloody thoroughly nice chap.
Yeah.
Absolutely great. I feel like I've been educated, and that can never be a bad thing.
You've learned something.
I definitely have learned stuff. And again, thank you very much, Steve, for letting us come.
Yeah, you had some good stories.
Come over to the studios. We've taken us a tour around some of your sets. You had some great stories, some really interesting stuff. I'm definitely going to check out. Definitely the one that was filmed in this town.
Yeah.
And the Ripper one, I'm quite interested in that. So, but I'll probably end up watching all of his stuff now, because that's what I do. watch B movies, and I now know a B movie director, so I'm up for that.
Great.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that, Steve. If you want to check him out on Twitter, his Twitter handle is creative without the E _studios.
Yeah.
So it's creative with no E on the end, which is quite creative when you think about it. _studios. You'll find him on there. He's got all of his movie posters as his cover picture. And his last tweet was our plug of Pentagram, not Instagram. So check him out. Go and check him out. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, after you've done that, while you're on Twitter, you might as well check us out at BOTS_podcast. That is the same as our Instagram and our Letterboxd. If you want to check out our website's bottomofthestream.com. On the website, you'll find every episode we've ever recorded, all the stream tables, loads of other cool stuff. patreon.com/bottomofthestream, and Discord. If you're into that sort of modern technology, come and join our Discord, and we'll do loads of chats and film watch-alongs and all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah, do come and join us in the Discord. It's a good time.
I love the Discord.
Full of
week,
like-minded
but I do love
people.
Yeah.
A good bunch of people.
It certainly is.
If you can spare a few minutes, please consider leaving us a review or rating of our podcast.
Yeah.
Bottom of the stream.
Yeah, if you're new to Bottom of the Stream, this isn't what we normally do. But check
come
us
on.
out.
Yeah, help spread the word. Basically, we started a few years ago because myself and Adam would get together pretty regularly and watch, I don't want to say bad movies. It's not bad movies.
B movies.
B movies.
Yeah.
And occasionally we find a really good one.
Yeah.
Not very often, but
No,
sometimes.
but we did.
And we thought, no one's doing that on a podcast.
No.
Netflix is a big thing. Netflix has grown and grown. We'll take that. We'll use Netflix. We've got a random movie generator from a long list of movies that are on there. That's what we're going to do every week. And we're on the hunt for hidden gems at the bottom of the Netflix stream. Sometimes we find them. Sometimes we find that they're absolutely terrible and they are just as fun to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And then sometimes we find them and we get to talk to the director of them.
Here you go.
Who'd have thought that would have ever happened? So yeah, we also do an episode on a Monday that comes out on a Monday called The Wave, which is basically your Netflix news, anything that's going on in the world of streaming.
Yeah.
And bit of interaction between us and you, the listeners.
Exactly.
So yeah, 2 episodes a week. We're free this week. There will be 3 episodes this week. Whatever week this comes out, there'll be 3 episodes.
There will.
Crazy.
Brilliant.
So yeah, do all of that. Thank you for listening. Thank you once again to Steve. He was great. Thank you for the tour of the studios. First time ever on a movie set for me. I don't know about it was for you.
Yeah, it was great.
It was great.
It was awesome.
Thank you once again. We'll be back on Monday if not before Thursday now, and Thursday if it's already gone past Monday. Would depend on when this episode comes out. Mondays and Thursdays, basically, you'll have a new episode in your stream.
You sure will.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Bye.